Go ahead, man.
What's up, Kansas City? We live. What's the date today? 8/20, 8/6, 8/8.
8/8. 8/8. Today is 8/8.
August 8th. It's about 8:30 at night. We are this far through the bottle. I probably drank the majority of it. I got my cup full of Corona.
Why you even lie?
I didn't drink the majority of that.
I took a shot too.
What we're gonna talk about this time? We are discussing. He asked me, "Do I think
What comes first? Your wife or your kids? Your wife or your mom?"
It's a good question, man.
No, it's not. It's
a good question.
It's a common sense question.
Because I talk to people, or I see people on Facebook that go through a breakup, and they say, "Ain't no one coming before my kids."
Well,
my kids come first.
Are they married? So are they married is the first question. A lot of people answer that question and aren't married.
But if they get married, then that should.
If they get married, that shouldn't be the case. Once you get married, your wife comes first. Your wife comes before your kids and anybody else. You make the priority to put your wife first, no matter what the situation is. And we're talking about equal situations. So, such as if your wife and your mom are healthy and they get into the front seat of a car, then your wife should be in the front seat.
I could agree with that. But there's going to be a lot of people that are mad if you say the wife should come before your kids, especially if they're not her kids, if they're your kids, right?
No, because I mean, it all comes back down to when you get married. Once you get married, you take those vows, in sickness and health, to death do you part, for better or for worse. You don't usually take those vows with your kids or your mom. So kids are eventually grow up, they'll have their own life, and then they'll have their wife, and you wouldn't expect your kids to put their wife, well, you above their wife. So that's why I say your kids will live their own life one day. Your mom that lived her own life. So now it's your turn to live your own life, and your wife comes first.
So when you say put them above, you mean what? You love your wife more than your kids? You gonna choose her point of view or her choices over your kids' wishes or wants? What you mean?
This might sound brutal, but like life and death, if you got a gun towards my wife and my kid, and you ask me to choose, I'd probably choose, that's difficult. I'd ask my wife.
You would ask your wife?
I'd ask my wife.
I bet you're gonna get some hate.
I will, but I'd ask my wife. I would ask my wife, what does she want to do? And that's not saying that I love my kids any less, but I would just feel like, golly, this sounds so cruel.
And I'm putting this up.
You can have another kid.
Yeah.
Maybe, if you're
another wife, what you talking about?
You never know. Not everybody is blessed with a good wife.
I agree that the wife should be put first over the children. The reason is the children are going to grow up and they're going to leave. And once they leave, it's just you and your wife left. And so you got to build a path and build a life with your wife that's going to be steady with or without children around. You got to have each other's back. You cannot take the side of the child, because when they leave, you're left with a marriage that is
in dire. It's bleeding.
It's not going to work. Once those kids leave and one or the other have already taken the children's side over their spouse, the marriage is going to fail, because it just shows you don't have each other's back.
Y'all not a team. It takes teamwork to raise a family a lot of the time, and a lot of times, y'all best interest is not everybody else's best interest. So, especially with the mom situation or dad situation, your mom is always going to want to feel like she's the most important part of your life, and she can be, but once you're married, it becomes a whole different situation.
Oh, now you're talking about wife versus mom.
Yeah. And I respect that. Like, even as a dad, you know, I respect that one day my son or my daughter's going to have to go off and they're going to have their own life. And they're going to ask me, you know, Dad, what do you think about this, that, and the third? And, you know, I'm not going to pick sides, because I think a lot of people pick sides a lot of time instead of just going with what's right and what's wrong. You know, if your son is wrong, you got to tell him he's wrong. If your daughter's wrong, you got to tell her she's wrong. So I think that's a lot of the problem with society nowadays. We don't correct the wrongdoings. We embrace it.
Just to pick sides, right?
Yeah.
Just to be friends. So you saying that you feel your wife would pick you over her mother or you over her child? Which
I expect her to.
You've had this conversation?
Yeah, I've had this conversation with my fiance. Even in marriage counseling, your marriage counselor should tell you that if you have problems, usually you need to resolve the problems within each other, or, you know, seek somebody who doesn't have a bias towards one side or the other. So just picking somebody who is neutral.
I want to hear your advice for people that are dating or engaged and they want to have this conversation with that other person. Hey, I need to be more important than your child.
It's not about being more important. It's about prioritizing. You know, like you said, one day the child will eventually leave the house, and you and your wife have to stand on a united front. Y'all have to come to an agreement. These are things that y'all need to talk about when y'all are starting to date or going out. That, you know, how do you feel about this subject? How you feel about this topic? Or, you know, just being together instead of being against each other.
Ooh, this is rough, man.
So these are a lot of things that people don't do when they get in relationships. They don't ask these questions like, how do you feel about this parenting wise, and how do you feel about this as far as family wise, and what are your goals as far as family, you know. And to me, that's a very important thing, especially when you first start to talk to somebody. Do they cherish their children as much or as close as you do? You know, are your children as much of their life as you are?
How many? Okay, I meet a new chick. We go on a couple dates. When should you say, hey, I need to eventually be more of a priority than your child?
I don't think after a few dates that conversation.
A year, 2 years then?
No, I just think if you see potential in the people that the person that you're talking to. So if you see like this person, yeah, I like everything. I like the way, you know, she calls her kids, or I like the way he calls his kids, checks up on them, or make sure they're okay. I like the way, you know, he loves his mother or his father or his family. You know, those are all signs to say that, you know, I like this about a person. So I'd say it's no timetable. It's more so when you see these things happening. When you see, you know, that this person is a potential person that you could see yourself with. That goes for men and women.
He obviously has a much stronger opinion on this than I do. He's talking the most. I do agree that if you get to a point of marriage, your significant other must be first in your life as far as who you put as a priority, what you're thinking about first. Of course, you know, you could expect your significant other to handle your kids' needs, but you have to be there to handle your significant other's needs and make sure that they feel everything they need to feel to be happy, because they're doing the same for you. That's what a team does, equal.
What about the people that say, forget that, my kids are number one priority in my life? Or
that's why they single, or that's why they relationship ain't gonna work, I guess. It might last a little bit, but eventually, if those common core values aren't shared, it's not gonna work. And I can't meet someone and say, hey, your thoughts are more important than my children's, but over time, if we feel like we're gonna head in a certain direction of marriage and longevity, then your thoughts and opinions have to outweigh the child's, because the child is going to leave and all you have is your significant other.
So the thing is basically conversation. Having these conversations with people, having these conversations with your significant other about, your preference, what you expect, what you want in life. I see a lot of people saying, who gets the plate first? Well, you make your husband's plate first, and then you make the kids, and then you make your plate. Or, whoever's cooking the food, they make the significant other's plate, and then they make the kids' plate. Just because...
Yeah, the society today is like kids first. I'm like, hold on, man. You don't have to sit down and wait your turn because you are a child. But most of the people that I talk to... the kids come first, adults can eat later. I'm like, hold on.
you got to think like
perspective on the child.
Like the parents are the people that work. They're the people that go out. They make the sacrifice. They make sure that the home is okay. So when it comes down to eating, when it comes down to preparing a meal first, your significant other should always come first. You should always make sure that they're taken care of, because if they're not taken care of, the house is not taken care of.
And if they're not, and if you wait to take care of them after the kids, eventually that just shows your mind frame and lack of dedication to that person.
And maybe you should say single. Maybe the single life is the best life for you. Maybe you should just take care of your kids.
I think what happens is people get too attached to the kids as far as they go through relationship after relationship and they can never find someone.
And so they rely on the kids to be their only support instead of relying on
their emotional rock. And, I always have you. I live for you. But that's just not the right attitude to build a successful family, because you have to put the kids in their place, which is still down here. They're looking up you to lead them. They're not looking for you to put them on a pedestal. And
because when they get into a relationship, they're looking for guidance. They're like, oh, I see how my mom and dad were, my mom and stepdad or stepmom was, and that's the type of relationship that I want. That's the type of, home or family that I want to build for myself and me and my husband. Or me and my wife.
I wonder if they can tell how drunk you are.
I'm not drunk.
What?
No, I'm
you
not
ain't drunk a little bit?
No.
If I stand up, I think I'm pretty. Half the bottle in the whole cup. I might be lit. Anyway, this is our kind of opinions on...
who comes first?
Yeah, who comes first is a good title.
Your wife versus everybody else, or your husband versus everybody else. And to me, it's your significant other. To me, it's your wife or husband. If they're not wife or husband, then we can have that debate and we can have that conversation.
And if they don't come first and they're your wife or husband, you might not have the right wife or husband. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You might not have the person that's giving you the sense of security to put all that trust on them. And we're not going to go there tonight. But I'm fucking lit right now.
I'm feeling good. I think I'm going to take a
wreck if you try to drive right now. What you talking about?
Nah.
Take another shot then.
Nah. Hey,
Anyway, this is our opinion. Intoxicated Opinions. Please like, share, subscribe. Hit the notification icon. We're going to be a lot more frequent now. We got a schedule set, and we're going to be on here all the time, reviewing different liquors, talking about different subjects.
Cheers.
Cheers, brother. He gonna throw up in a couple more shots. He gonna throw up and pass out. I'm gonna get it on camera too. All right, we out.
Okay.